Nobody believes in you. You've lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day and say to yourself, it's not over until I win.
Alright, good afternoon guys. We are 9 weeks away from the Xenix Pro qualifiers held in Tokyo, Japan on the 27th of June 2026. Right now I'm going to be preparing my pre-workout meal. We're going to go train some back today. Alright, so the pre-workout meal is going to be roughly the same thing as I had before. So it's 60 grams of cream of rice, which I'll be using the rice flour right here, and 40 grams of whey isolate. I'm using this Emerald Labs churro flavor, and I'll be adding in some creatine along with it as well. Then later on, once we're done with this, we'll add 50 grams of banana on top of it, a little bit of stevia. We'll put it into the air fryer for about 15 minutes or so, and we're done. Oh yeah, and 15 grams of almond butter on top of that. Let's talk about the prep so far. We are 9 weeks out to the show, and as you recall, last week I was roughly 86 kilos and above, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put a number on the screen right here, but that was my weight previously. But this week, when I stepped onto the scale for my check-ins, I was actually at a much lighter body weight, which is 85.2 kilos. So as you can see, that's a pretty steep drop, and it means that things are moving in the right direction. And so this is my current physique right now on the screen. Not much difference in terms of the overall dryness, but the weight says quite a lot about it as well. So because the weight is moving in this direction, so my coach has decided not to change anything with regards to the plan. And so as always, 3,012 calories on my training days, 2,815 calories on rest days. I'm still doing 30 minutes of fasted cardio every single day, and on top of that, 10,000 steps, active ones, in between meals. How am I feeling so far in the prep? Honestly speaking, like I said in my previous videos, just tired, feeling flat in the mornings. In fact, every single waking hour I still feel flat, but that's the whole part of the process, you see. Around this time of the prep, you will feel flat, but you're not shredded yet. So you kind of need to kind of just power through and trust the process, execute on a day-to-day basis. And that is actually something that I did want to talk about, which is forming routines, structure, and order into our lives so that things start to move more efficiently. So for myself, I have regimented my days such that I am eating every meal at a specific time. So for instance, my first meal is to be finished by 8 a.m, the second one by 11, the third one by 2 p.m. You get the point. It follows every 3-hour window that I finish the meal by. And of course, I try not to deviate from it too much. And of course, there are other things that are happening in my life that might throw me off the rails, but I try not to go too far off. And also, I am sleeping at the exact same time every day, sleeping latest by 10 p.m. I'll be winding down by about 9:15 p.m. That means phones away, no direct screen time, no YouTube, no social media, nothing. I'll be just doing my mobility work, brushing my teeth, my nightly routine. Shutdown protocol is what I call it. Then after that, I will go to bed, lights out by 10 p.m, wake up at 5:30 every single morning. This is another point that I want to bring up. That is putting in effort to meal prep. You see, a lot of people, they think that it's just about calories in versus calories out. That is the biological part of it, and theoretically you might be right. The amount of calories at the end of the day is what matters when it comes to fat loss. But if you really think about it, we are more than just biological beings. We have social circles, we have our own psychology as well, and different things get us to tick. So for myself, putting in effort to cook my meals, to assemble the ingredients by myself, to be involved with the whole processing of the meal, tells my brain that food is coming. And so it starts to create that gastric motility. The issue with the modern diet is that everything comes in convenience. Food is prepared for you, and while you're having your meals, you're probably just watching a show, right? It's a very hands-off, very out of touch experience nowadays. And that's why people never feel like they have enough food to eat, no matter how calorically dense the food is, no matter how appetizing the meals are, just never enough. And for the large part, that is how I lived my life a lot in the off season. But when you're in contest prep, obviously the amount of food that you get to eat goes down, and you start to really slow down and appreciate the whole process. It really just begins from the way that you prepare your food. Because even for a pre-workout meal like this, frankly speaking, I could have just put this into the microwave for about 2 to 3 minutes and then just eat it from there. But what I am deciding to do is to put all the ingredients together into a pot. I will assemble the frozen banana and the almond butter, and I'm going to be putting it into the air fryer, which will make everything just kind of harmonize together. Really, really lovely experience. Then when I eat, I use a teaspoon to slow down my eating. So if you watch one of my previous videos, I did use a teaspoon to eat as well. That kind of forces you to slow things down. And also just experience the meal. So you're experiencing that smell, the feelings that you get out of the meal, the taste profile of it, what notes hit you, right? Rather than just going into another YouTube video right away. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to signal to your body that you're actually eating something. I will get back to you once it's done. As you can see right here, it has essentially solidified. What I'm going to do is going to pour this mixture into a nice little ceramic bowl. 15 grams of almond butter, which I'm going to weigh out on this little food scale that I have. Okay, exactly 15 grams. Essentially push this in. 1, 2. Okay, just about right. So that's 3 bananas. Yep, okay, perfect. So I'm gonna be putting this into the air fryer. I'll be setting it for 15 minutes, and we'll be back to see what the results are. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you put love into your food. See that? Beautiful color. We're gonna eat this, enjoy it, and we're gonna go work out. I'll see you guys in the gym.
Okay, we're done with the pre-workout meal, but this is also done. Take a look. This is the chicken breast. Great stuff. I'm gonna pack this and head off to the gym.
Okay, so right now what we're gonna do is the single arm neutral grip lat pull downs. This one targets specifically the lats, and we're doing it unilaterally because we want to get as much tension in the lat as possible. Not saying that bilateral is useless, it's just more so if you really want to develop the lagging body parts and you want that specific muscle to grow, then unilateral movements are a really good addition to the program. But yeah, so I have a couple of philosophies when it comes to training, right? And I'm just gonna sum it up into a few pointers. Number one, specificity. You want to make sure that you're working the muscle that you are intending to train. Because a lot of people, they just yank the weight without any rhyme or reason, and they think that they're working the muscle, but in actual fact they're not. So you have to kind of have a basal understanding of how the body functions and how different muscles move. And so from there, you are able to then move the way the body was intended to. For instance, the lat muscle, you should know where it inserts and originates, and therefore what is the trajectory as you move through the exercise. Number two, you need to know what kind of movement it performs. So for the lat muscle, it performs shoulder extension, right, and humeral adduction. And so for this particular exercise, because you're keeping it more in the sagittal plane, right? Keeping it, yeah, this is the sagittal transverse frontal, yeah. what we want to do is to first focus on shoulder extension. And a lot of times when people do this single arm lat pull down, they yank it, the shoulders come up this way. So that puts all the tension to the trap, right, and into the biceps. It takes away from the lat. So what we want to do is we want to fix the shoulder into a rolled back position this way, and we only stretch as far as our lat allows us to. So for me, it's going to be about here. If I let my shoulder come up too much, tension shifts over and we're taking away tension from the lat. Of course, you want to allow slight elevation, but not all the way to the point where you're losing tension in the lat. So I'm just going to perform a set and you'll see what I mean. Okay. So, an important part of this exercise is that you don't want to relax at the bottom, because that means you're just simply using momentum. So from the start to the finish, make sure that the lat is completely engaged and the movement is directed by shoulder extension. This is a very important point for you to remember. How you know that you're doing it properly is that from the start, you're already feeling the pull in the lat, and as you squeeze the weight down, you can literally feel the muscle contracting, and at the bottom is the peak contraction, right? So this exercise is more focused on the lengthened position, which means that it is hardest at the top and it drops off at the bottom, right? But in any case, the full range of motion is still key. So do your best to have a full range of motion, but if you can't get the entire range, it's still acceptable to a certain point. This is to make sure that another pillar of training is met, which is intensity. Some people, they tend to give up too quickly because they're not able to reach the full range of motion, and you're leaving a lot in the tank, especially when it comes to lengthen bias exercises. I'd say if you're able to complete more than 80% of the rep, you should count that still. And if anything less than that, you're essentially doing partials and you should kind of stop. And right now, because I'm on contest prep and I'm trying to manage my fatigue levels, so I'm not training all the way to failure as I normally do in the off season. Right now I'm training anywhere between 1 and 3 reps shy of failure, and that should be enough to maintain my muscles while I am kind of trying to burn off as much body fat as possible. See you in the next exercise. Alright, so now we're moving on to the second exercise of my pull day split, which is the T-bar row. Same thing with the lat pull down, focus on how the muscle was intended to move. This one, we are trying to work the mid to upper trap, and we are focusing on scapular retraction. So the movement should focus primarily on bringing your shoulder blades together and bringing them apart in the lengthened position, right? A lot of people, they tend to just pull the handles as is, and they wonder why they're not getting much activation in the back. And also, for every rep, consistency in the tension, keep it onto the muscle in between the shoulder blades, which is your traps, right? So let's go. Oh. Okay, that's it. We're done. So, like I said, if you can't finish more than 80% of the rep, don't force it. That's your last one already. Okay? I'm gonna do 2 more working sets like this. Make sure to rest enough in between sets. I will rest anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes in between each set. And especially when fatigue is high during contest prep, you want to take a time with your training. Try not to rush it. I know some of you guys on contest prep, y'all want to rush through your workout because you want to get your next meal in. But trust me, that doesn't do you good. Training stimulus is what retains muscle on contest prep. So as much as possible, you want to try and maximize every training session that you go into. Don't rush through your sets, recover, execute properly. Alright, 2 more sets, and I'll see you in the next exercise. Okay, so the next exercise in the program is the close grip lat pull down, but because the other cable, the single grip cable, is taken, so I have no choice but to use the dual cable lat pull downs. But of course, if you understand the fundamentals of the exercise, you can be quite resourceful with the whole variation of it all. So for me, in order to replace the close grip lat pull downs, I'm going to use 2 D handles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the two handles right in the middle over here, and I'm going to invert my hands, supinate them, and that will be as close of a grip as I need to have in order to perform this exercise. That's it. Yeah, that is it. Notice I didn't grind that last one. Fatigue management. Okay, after the narrow grip lat pull downs, this will be the seated lat bias row. This exercise has transited into the shortened bias, whereby the hardest point will be the shortened range, which is at the top when you squeeze. Of course, take it through the full range of motion, but the main important part is the squeeze at the top. Make sure that you're initiating from the lat and finishing through, following all the way with the squeeze at the top. A lot of people, they tend to screw this up because they have an initial jerk, and this entire movement here is really driven by momentum. So what you want to do, take your time with the reps. Of course, don't do it in slow motion, but make sure that from the start to the finish, you're dragging it back with your back. That's it. Okay, so the next one for this workout will be the single arm lat pullover. Another common exercise that gets completely screwed over by too many people. But anyway, again, we'll focus on shoulder extension, and that should be the case. A lot of people, when they do this particular exercise, they tend to shrug up this way and they push all the tension into their trap. This is not what's supposed to happen. Same thing, think about the insertions and the origin points of the lat and move the insertion to the origin. So lat inserts here, originates from the spine, okay, and you're focused on shoulder extension. So it goes like this, okay, grab hold of the cable with two hands first, get into external rotation because that's how the lat is the most biased, okay, and get the tension into the lat from the get-go. Okay, it should feel like the weight is pulling onto this area. A lot of people, they have the tension focused on the elbow or the wrist. Okay, position yourself such that the cable is pulling on the insertion. And from here, you're gonna lock your arm in place, and all you gotta do, focus on the same insertion, pull that insertion all the way to the origin. Leg up. You don't want to drag with momentum. Make sure that the lat is doing the entire range of motion. Okay, that's it. So if you do this right, you should feel the stretch at the top and a deep squeeze in the lower lat at the bottom. Alright, so we're down to the last two exercises. The first one will be the single arm preacher curl. Normally I use a dumbbell for this, but all the free benches are taken, so I'll be doing a pin loaded one today. Essentially the same movement, just the intention is the same. We're focusing now on flexing the elbow, right? And this one, the focus will be on the shortened range. So from here, there's not much tension happening, but you want to focus on that squeeze at the top. Alright, so this is the last exercise of the day. These are cable single arm bicep curls, and the primary focus is on the stretch position. So unlike the preacher curl, which it puts you in a more flexed shoulder position, which then allows you to focus on the shortened range, this one focuses on more on the lengthened range. So just taking the bicep through different ranges of motion. Okay, I'm going to finish up the rest of the sets, but that is it for today's video. 9 weeks out to the show. We're counting down into the single digits. Things are heating up from here. Hopefully, the next few weeks will bring me over the edge and that we'll be ready for the show. Next week, I will be in Malaysia to do my regionals, so we'll see how that goes. But I will be filming the video before I go into Malaysia, so that's that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this kind of a video, do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell notification so you get notified every single time that I post onto YouTube, and follow me on my Instagram as well. That's why I'm a little bit more active, well at least I'm trying to be, but it's not been easy since the prep is kind of taking effect. But regardless, I will do my best to post as often as I can, and if you have any questions, just drop me a DM, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next update. Ciao.